Okay, so I'm starting the recording. So just for the recording, we're going to go over the solution to the Roman numerals problem. So let's see. Oh, I was on it. Damn it. Okay, so just as a little review from yesterday, how do I get this onto my computer so I can start working on it? So I'm going to fork it over to my repo. Cool, so now it's at my repo. I have my own copy of it. Clone it. Yeah, first I want to go to whatever folder I want. So I'm going to go to my desktop. And then I'm going to do git clone and paste the URL. I'm going to do ls to confirm that that is now in the now in the directory that I want. I'm going to do code Roman numerals, and that's going to open it up in VS Code for me. Let me change this to white. Let's forget to do that. Pull this up a little. And okay, so let's go in here. All right, so we saw it done with if statements. We saw it done with two arrays. The way I'm going to actually approach this is to use an object. So I already made this object. Wait, oh no, did I have it? Where did it go? I just don't want you to have to watch me type out this giant object, which would be very boring.
I have it.
You had it as an object in yours?
Yeah. Actually, I have a question on the object.
Sure.
After I did that, I realized objects don't stay in the same order.
That is such a great point. Let's talk about that in 1 second.
I did the count.
Yeah. Cool. Here's my object. That looks good. So Nick, right? Okay, so yeah, what Nick is saying, we didn't actually talk about this yesterday, so we'll go over it real quick. Okay, so first, I'm just gonna make an object, and the object is gonna have my key value pairs, right? So it's gonna have the, so this is very similar to what you guys did with your array. You were just relying, and actually, that's really nice because arrays are always guaranteed to stay in the order that they're in, right? That is always gonna be the case. So if you had like m at index 0 in your first array and 1,000 at index 0 in your second array, those are always going to match up, right? It is true that we can't spilled all over myself. We can't always be sure that objects are going to stay in the order that we put them in. What we can be guaranteed with objects is that they're going to, the key is and the values will always be together, but we can't always be dependent on the order. In this case, and I agree with you, I don't really know why, this stays in the order and totally works, right? One way we could ensure that it's in that order all the time is we could sort it by key, or when we could sort it by, in this case, value. We would sort it by value, and I don't know the function for that off the top of my head. It's probably just sort by value or something to ensure that it is the way it is. But for whatever reason, we don't have to do that right now. But just know that might trip you up in the future. Cool. So for now, we can be certain that this is going to stay the way it is. And so now what I want to do is I'm going to take in a number, and I want to do that process that we talked about on the board. I basically want to loop through this entire object, and at each stage, I want to ask a series of questions about where I'm at, and depending on the answer to those questions, I want to do different things, right? So let's see, I'm going to, first, I'm just going to declare a variable for my answer, and I'm going to declare it as an empty string, right? So I'm going to build up my answer as I go through the loop. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the object. how can I loop through the object? How do I do that? For loop, and I heard specifically what? For in loop, right? So we'll go over this a little bit in a little bit more depth today. So we, in JavaScript and also Python, there's a concept of a for in loop, and it's, what is the syntax for it? It is for variable, so Roman in, what did I call this? Arabic to Roman. Cool. Okay. So what this is saying is for the, it's for, is it for key? It's for key in object. It's going to loop through, and each time it's going to give me access to each key. So let's just look at what this looks like and what this is giving us at each point. Hold on, I think I need to do, and then I can call it down here, and we'll pass it 44. All right. So I'm going to run this, and we're going to see what is the value of Roman at each time I go through this, right? Like, where am I at each point in my loop? And I'm going to do node. Am I like not in the right place? Yes. Cool. So you can see that it looped through all of the keys, right? So now I have this loop that's going to get me through all of the keys, step one. But what do I actually want to check? I want to check against the values. So how am I going to get at those values? That might work, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do Arabic to Roman, like this. So if we remember, if we want to get the value of something that's in an object, we can call on the object, add brackets, and then give the key. And now I'm going to get all the values. So let's print it out again. That did not work because I'm not constant logging anything. Cool. So now I finally have access to all my values. Questions so far? Moving too fast? No? We're good? Okay, cool. So now what is the question that I want to ask at this point? Is it greater than? So I'm going to save this to a variable just so we can work with it a little bit easier. And I'll say let Arabic equal this. This is my Arabic number. And I want to say if num, is it num, it's num greater than, right? Arabic. Oh, sorry. If num less than or equal to Arabic. If it's greater than, I just want to move on. So I don't want to do, so I'm just going to do it this way. What do I want to do here? If the num is less than or equal to the Arabic, push the key to the answer, right? Yeah, so I want to, let's see. Yeah. So I want to do answer dot push. No, it's plus equals with a string because we have a string. Answer plus equals Roman, right? Okay. Let's solve our problem of how many times do I want to do this? Because so I have 44 here, right? So actually, when I get to, we have 40 there. Let's do. Let's go back to what do we have? 32. So 32 is going to be 3 X's and 2 1s, correct? Or 2 I's, right? So how am I going to tell my program that I actually want 3 X's at this point? What can I do to figure out how many? What's up?
Continue to go back to the
Sure. So when we run this as is, we're not gonna enter our if statement until we get all the way down to X.
No, I was saying it's continuous, so it'll go back up to can do that.
And then you don't have to worry about.
So if I do, so once I get here, then I need to like break out of my loop, right? And start over again. But what I'm saying is instead of doing that, how in this loop can I say, instead of just adding one X to answer, add 3 X's to answer?
Roman,
You're getting there, we're getting there. Eventually we just want to say 3, right?
yeah, but it's the value divided by thing you're checking.
Yeah, we need another variable, essentially, right? We want to say let, I'm just going to call it times. So how many times do I want to add something to it? Equals, and it's going to be,
Oh, sorry. You
wait a minute, is it Arab? It's Arabic, it's so hard to keep track of, over num? Or is it num over Arabic? How many times it's num over Arabic? I don't know. Okay, does this make sense?
Yeah.
So when we get to this point, my number is going to be 32. And I'm going to do 32 over 10, which is going to give me what?
No,
3. 3, and then I'm going to have 2 left over. Yeah. Do I care about that 2 that's left over?
Yeah.
No. Yes?
You need it.
Oh, yes, I do. I do care about that 2 that's left over. Right. But do I care about it as far as how many times I need to? No. Right. So, how do I round in JavaScript? 4.
Although I discovered the repeat method already ignores the decimal.
Oh, it does? Sweet. So I'm going to do this just for clarity, but that's good to know.
Can you still use the remainder after?
So we're going to just calculate that after this. Yeah, we're going to do that a little bit different. Yes. Yeah. We have one person talking at a time?
So the num method, isn't that the number we're checking? So wouldn't that want to be greater than the Arabic number inside our object? Because, like, say we have 11, we want to add Arabic 10.
If num is yes, right? Greater than or equal to Arabic. Yes. Thank you. Good catch. Times. Okay. So now what we're saying is I'm going to loop through my object. At each iteration through the loop, I'm going to grab that Arabic number. So 400, 190, etc. And then, actually, I think I want to do this down here. If the number is greater than the Arabic number, I know I need one of those, I need that Roman, right? I'm going to need at least one of them, but I can figure out exactly how many I need by dividing, right? That's going to give me exactly how many I need. Then I'm going to add that exact many to my answer. So in this case, I'm going to add 3 X's to my answer. And now the last thing that I need to do is I need to adjust my my num. So I need to say num minus equals Arabic times, right? Because it's going to be, I need to subtract 30 is essentially what I need to do. Does that make sense? Cool.
You can also do it as num equals Arabic modulus.
Say that again.
That's how I did it. But now
That's how we did it.
Yeah, we use modulus.
just take the remainder of
Of here.
num.
That's not clicking in my head. I don't know. It's not clicking for me.
So Arabic times and however many times take nums, modulus, Arabic times, the remainder is what you feed back to
Yeah, tell me what to, I was just going to say that. Tell me what to type.
Okay.
Because I'm not, it's not, I don't.
So,
Let's see if we can get this working, and then we will refactor. How's that sound?
I'm trying to look here. Yeah, it should, I think it's just non-modulus.
Yeah, modulus.
So where on line 25?
Nums equal nums. Modulus. Arabic times. But I don't think.
Like that? To me, this looks even more complicated. Let's go back to this. I'm sure it'll work, and probably at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. But let's just we'll roll with this for now. Okay. I think that's everything I did. Oh, I'm missing one thing. Anybody see it? I'm not returning anything. Nice job, Bobby. I am not returning my answer. Return answer. Cool. Did anybody figure out how to run those tests?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let me get back to where export to. Is that not how you do it? Exports. Thank you, John. Exports to Roman. Okay. Let's take a look at this because John's actually going to go over test-driven development tomorrow. So we'll learn a little bit more about testing. But you might have noticed that all of the challenges have something called a spec file with it. It's usually named exactly the same. It just says spec at the end. This is kind of a common naming convention, right? When you're writing tests for code or for classes or whatever, as we keep going, that you'll have a spec file. This spec file doesn't really have like traditional tests in it. These are kind of tests like quick and dirty tests that we made up, which are just basically, these are gonna console log a true or false value if I run this, right? And let me know, like, is my function past this parameter returning this thing that I expect, right? As we get deeper into it, we'll learn how to write proper tests, but these are a good way to gauge, like, did I solve the problem correctly? So what I can do is, instead of running my Roman numerals file, I can run my spec file, and we got true, 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 which means we solved for this problem. Cool? Get it more challenging. You want to put something else in here? Yeah, why aren't there more in here? Hold on a second. I know there are more in the actual Roman numerals.
Yeah, like 9.9.
That's what it looks like to you.
I added, like, you can just throw it in.
Here, we'll do
Don't
this.
ask anything over 4,000.
So there's, I think I did. We'll do 944, which is CMXLIB. And I'm copying this. I didn't memorize that. Yeah, I know, right? And then CL. Okay. Run these again. We still did it. Sweet. Yeah, it always feels good to write tests you know will pass. Cool. So I feel like we've spent. Are there any questions about Roman numerals, or how I solved it, or how you solved it, or how to solve anything? Question.
I have a question about the dot repeat.
Yes.
Can you just explain that line to me again?
Yeah, sure. No. So dot repeat. What I want to do on line 24 is I want to add the Roman numeral. So in this case, the first time we do it, we're going to get to, or when we were doing 32, I'm going to get to X, and I need 3 X's, right? So when I call repeat on a string, so Roman is X, so the value of this will be X. When I call repeat on it, and then I pass it any number, it's just going to return that thing 3 times. So it's just returning 3 X's. In some languages, you can just do like string times 3, but JavaScript wasn't letting me get away with it. It made me do the thing.
Did you have a while loop inside of that for in to do that same thing? and take out the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bobby's saying like, and I think that's kind of how you guys did it, right? Where you said like, how many times? No, am I making that up?
We did that.
Oh, you guys did that? Yeah. So when I get to the end of the if and I say like, oh, I need 3 x's, then you could have another loop that just says loop 3 times and add x 3 times. Is that basically what you're saying?
Or while the what was I think? I was gonna say while this num is less than the Arabic num, just add this, and once it's not,
So it sounds right.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is absolutely not the only way to do it. As we saw, right? We had 2 other people come up with perfectly legit answers, right? Cool. Let's take 10, and then we'll come back and we will just talk about more stuff. Python. Let's start with